It is 11 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Thanks everybody for joining us for the Wagner Road Safety Project virtual meeting. We are going to go over a number of different items today, but I'm going to start. My name is Emily Kaiser, and I'm the communications manager here at the Road Commission. And I'll just do some brief housekeeping slides, and then I'll turn it over to Elena and Aaron to give us the presentation about all the work that we've got planned on Wagner Road. And then we will open it up to Q&A after that. So first, I want to introduce our project managers. We've got Elena here, and she is in our traffic and safety department. And so you can find her contact information. We'll share this a couple times in the slides, so you don't have to furiously write it down now. But we've got Elena. And then we also have Brent Schlack. He's our Assistant Director of Engineering, and he is available to answer questions throughout the presentation as well. And then we've got Aaron Burkholtz, who is our Senior Project Manager in Design and Construction. Again, his contact information will be shared a couple different times if you need it. So as I mentioned, a few housekeeping items. The meeting video is being recorded and audio. And so once we finish this meeting, we will get that posted to wcroads.org and the Road Commission's YouTube channel in the next day or two. And then you will be asked to virtually raise your hand during the Q&A period if you would like to ask a question. We also have chat enabled on this meeting. So if you'd rather ask a question in chat, you can just send that right to, in your chat screen. And then if you're joining us from your computer, and then we will go through chat questions during the Q&A portion as well. So again, you can either ask by virtually raising your hand and we'll provide instructions, or you can ask a question in the chat. And with that, I will turn it over to Elena to get us started.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining our meeting today. I will start with a background for this project. So at the Road Commission, we pay close attention to the crashes that occur on our network. So we screen our network, and we did notice some crashes and injuries on Wagner Road. We took a closer look at the crashes and patterns, and did find some patterns that could be addressed with the proven countermeasures. So we developed a plan, developed a scope to address the patterns we saw. We wanted to improve the situation. We put together a grant application and apply for safety grants to improve safety on Wagner Road. We did receive the grants. The segment is long from Ann Arbor Saline Road to Huron River Drive. So we actually broke it down into different grants with different features to address the patterns on each segment, and we received that funding. The funding can be only used on the safety features, cannot be used for maintenance. So the funding does address the crash patterns and the scope that we put together originally. We'll talk about the features that we included in details, but project includes these culvert replacements south of Liberty Road, and we listed them based on the timeline, how this will occur, how the project will progress. Then we will improve traffic signal at Wagner Road and Dexter Ann Arbor intersection. Then we will work at intersection of Waters Road at Wagner Road. Then there will be some seal code improvements and work on this corridor, and we will finish with centerline rumble strips, beam markings, and signs upgrades along whole corridor. And here's the culvert replacements. I think Aaron will talk about that.
Thank you, Elena. Again, as Emily indicated at the beginning of the meeting, my name is Aaron Burkholtz. I'm a senior project manager here at the Road Commission, and I'll be working with Elena and with our contractor, Fonson, on this project. I'm going to cover the culvert replacement portion, that scope part of this project. It includes the replacement of 2 crossroad culverts. Both of the existing culverts were identified for replacement based on their condition. And this was a convenient time to replace these, and it provided a financial basis, a funding source for us to replace these 2 culverts. One culvert is located north of, and I'll use the term, the Big Red Barn. Several of you, as you travel Wagner Road, north of Scio Church Road might be familiar with that. So if you're northbound on Wagner Road and you go down the hill from the big red barn, that's the first culvert location, the first replacement. The second one is further north, and that's closer to the Cadillac asphalt plant. It's just south of the southernmost gate into Cadillac's facility there. So those are the two culverts that are going to be replaced. Two new 18-inch diameter culverts will be installed by Fonson. Again, the work is fairly straightforward in nature. I'll say that with some hesitation, because anytime we put a shovel in the ground, anytime one of our contractors puts a shovel in the ground, we have to gain as much understanding about the existing utilities as we can. But I'll admit it is not uncommon for our contractors to begin the work and then for us to identify utilities that may have not been identified previously by the utility owners. So we're always conscious of that, both to protect the workers that are out there, the contractor workers that are performing the work, and to protect the utilities themselves and avoid undue delay in the work that we're conducting. So again, the two culvert replacements, they're not particularly deep. The existing culverts, I'll say, are approximately 5 feet down from the road surface. So those two culverts will be removed and replaced. The safest and the most efficient way to do that is to close the road. And again, I touched on the two culvert locations, both being located between Scio Church Road to the south and Liberty Road to the north. So in order for us to do this work safely and efficiently, we've empowered Fonson to close the road. The closure is expected to start in June. That is based on the most recent schedule that Fonson, the contractor, has provided us. So they would start that closure in June. They expect it to be a 4-week closure to replace both of the culverts, the two culverts that have been identified. Again, the closure is intended to protect the health, safety, and welfare of the traveling public and the road workers themselves. And something that we struggled with a number of times last season was motorists, bicyclists, and pedestrians disregarding road closures. Whenever we implement a road closure, there's significant notice provided to the public. Again, this would be for planned road closures, not something that would be unexpected, but for planned road closures, the Road Commission understands the impact on the public. We want to make sure that the public is informed of that. I feel that we go to great lengths to inform people, putting up electronic changeable message signs ahead of the closure. That will be done on this project. There's advanced signage that's put up, static signs to inform people of the closure of the road. And unfortunately, despite of all those efforts, we still have motorists, pedestrians, and bicyclists disregarding that direction that's being given. And again, we've had some tragic events just this last year in Washtenaw County. 2 young road workers were killed out on I-94. Now, there were some extenuating circumstances there. It was night work on the weekend, and unfortunately, the driver involved was impaired. But nevertheless, there's a great risk taken by motorists. And then for pedestrians and bicyclists, really the risk is on themselves when they disregard road closures and decide to come through a work zone. We will maintain access for the residents and for the properties, things like High Point School, for Cadillac Asphalt. Access will be maintained, but that'll be from either end of the project. So really, if you're on either side of the culvert closures, you would come in either from the south end or from the north end. Through traffic, people coming all the way through this work zone between Scio Church and Liberty, that's not going to be permitted. What we've done since last season, again, trying to protect those that are within the work zones and protect the traveling public, is we are putting up more barricades. We are trying to well secure the project work zone unfortunately, from those motorists that decide to disregard the signage and barricades. The detour will be signed. It'll be a posted detour, and that's going to follow Liberty Road, Zeeb Road, and Scio Church Road. Again, that's a fairly straightforward detour. When we detour traffic off of a hard surface, a paved road like Wagner Road, we sign a paved detour. And this is the most straightforward hard surface detour that's available for this closure of Wagner Road. We are in the process of moving forward with a number of infrastructure investments, road projects for this coming season. And we've been coordinating that internally so that we can try to avoid, in as much as possible, overlapping these various road projects that are in the area. And something that I find helpful, being a road commission employee, and I think the public can gain from, is looking on the road commission website. And if you go to the road commission website, wcroads.org, you go to the top and there's a tab there called Road Work and Construction. And if you hover over that tab, you'll see Current Projects is one of the drop downs. And if you select Current Projects, that takes you to a very helpful Current Projects roadmap. And you can zoom in and you can select various road projects that provides information not only on this project, the Wagner Road Safety Project, but also a number of other projects in the area. That includes, we intend to pursue the reconstruction of the intersection at Zeeb and Liberty and build a roundabout there. That we intend for late summer of this year. There's a public meeting for that project next week. It's a week from today. We're going to have a public meeting, a virtual format just like this one, to talk about Zeeb and Liberty. And then we also have an investment in Zeeb Road between Pleasant Lake Road and Ellsworth Road. We refer to it as the Zeeb Road Phase 2 project because that's a continuation of our 2019 investment where we reconstructed Zeeb Road between Waters and Ellsworth. We have a public meeting for the Zeeb Road Phase 2 project a week from tomorrow. That's on Tuesday, March 2nd. So again, a number of projects in the area, road investments. We discuss those projects, and again, we try to avoid, in as much as possible, overlapping the work on those projects. That being said, we do live in a seasonal state. Essentially, we have between April and October to perform our road work and our bridge work. And so we have to take as great an advantage of that as we can, working with our contractor partners. So we don't overlook the fact that this can be quite an inconvenience. It can be frustrating for the public. But again, we are a limited seasonal state. So we have to try to complete as much work as possible. So again, a really good resource for not just this project, but overall for the Road Commission construction projects for 2021 is to look on the Road Commission website. And with that being said, I'll go ahead and I will turn this back over to Elena. She's going to discuss some of the traffic signal investments that we have as part of this project.
Yes, for this safety project, we include upgrades of the existing traffic signal at Wagner Road and Dexter and Arbor Road intersection. Currently, that traffic signal has diagonal span, and all the traffic signal heads in one span. So the upgrade includes separating out the traffic signal heads for each direction is considered safer, setup, better visibility. So this is included for box scan this intersection. It also will include the flashing yellow arrows for the left turns for all 4 legs. This is something you probably have seen in other locations, such as Dexter and Arbor Road at Zeeb Road. We added that. This is the flashing yellow arrow setup. So now you have to wait for a gap. And with the flashing yellow arrow, you can turn on flashing yellow arrow if there is a gap, but if there is no gaps, you will wait and get that green arrow and turn safely. So this is another feature to improve safety at that intersection. So the signal upgrade, the intersection will be open. Unfortunately, this time there will be no pedestrian signal because there are no facilities currently around that intersection to have that accommodated. And again, those funds will address the signal, and the payment condition cannot be addressed with this funding. We just improving safety and addressing the crash history we've seen because it's a reactive grant. Another improvement, intersection improvements, this is at Wagner Road and Waters Road. So at this intersection with the high volume and higher speeds, the concern was that the people who tried to turn left off Wagner Road might be worrying that they might be rear-ended, somebody might not see that they're turning. We've seen that some of the drivers were taking risks and turning when there was no sufficient gaps. So to address that condition, we are going to construct a left turn lane on Wagner Road at Waters to remove those vehicles that turn left from the through movement through traffic, to give them safe location to wait for the proper gap. We also will install a flashing beacon. We have some examples of these features. So flashing beacon will flash red, how you can see on this example picture, flash red for Waters Road traffic because they have to stop. They have a stop sign, and it will flash yellow for Wagner Road traffic, just to warn them that there's crossing road. There might be traffic that might be entering the intersection. And this is example of the left turn lane as well. The schedule for this work, we actually, the tree removals are scheduled for to start tomorrow. And because of the limitation that the trees have to be addressed before end of March, but the construction itself will start in July, and the intersection will be closed for approximately 8 weeks to construct all these features. So there will be a detour for this work as well posted. This is the detour, includes Scio Church Road, Oak Valley Drive, and Arbor Saline Road, Ellsworth Road, and Tasman Road. So this is the schedule, and detour will be posted, and Aaron described very well why and how we do it. So hopefully public will understand and let us construct those features for this intersection.
And I'll talk a little bit about seal coat. That's another aspect of this overall project. It's not funded as part of the Wagner Road safety improvements. That involves federal funding and the bidding of the project through the Michigan Department of Transportation. But as I mentioned, we have a number of infrastructure investments, road projects that the Road Commission has planned for this upcoming 2021 construction season. That includes not only projects such as Liberty and Zeeb and the Zeeb Road Phase 2 project, but also work to chip seal a number of our county roads, and that includes this segment, a significant portion of this segment of Wagner Road. The extent of that chip seal project is from the Ann Arbor Saline Road intersection north to Liberty Road. And so we've been working with our operations department staff to discuss the means by which we can accomplish not only the safety improvements on Wagner Road, but also that investment in the chip seal. And the Road Commission has greatly advanced our investment through the annual chip seal program. And with so many thanks to the public for renewing the road millage to allow us to continue that effort to protect and preserve these road investments. And so in order for us to do these concurrent projects, we've talked about the aspects of the Wagner Road project, such as asphalt paving that needs to be done at the Waters Road intersection, and then also timing that with the chip seal and the fog seal that would follow the paving, but come before the pavement markings and some of the other things that Elaine is going to be touching on. So again, a lot of coordination here internal to the Road Commission to make sure that we perform this work in the proper order. Again, for us to perform the chip seal and the fog seal process, it would involve segmented daytime road closures. And we see this likely coming in the latter part of the summer, again, so that we can accomplish both the investments in Wagner Road through the safety project, the MDOT federal aid project, and then also through the chip seal and the fog seal. So we've got a couple pictures here that are examples that show that chip seal and fog seal process. And again, that involves putting down an emulsion. That material both seals the road surface and provides a material for the chips to adhere to. And so you can see our operations crew in the process of performing that work here. And next slide. And again, we come back through after the chip has been placed, we come back with a fog seal. And that fog seal serves a couple of different purposes. Again, it provides an additional seal to the road. We find better adhesion of the chips that have been placed. And really it provides a great surface for us to put down new pavement markings. That fogged surface being that dark black color really makes those new pavement markings pop. So again, this is a great opportunity for us to not only enhance the safety of Wagner Road through the MDOT federal aid project that Elena and I have been talking about, but also through this chip seal and fog seal process that's performed by our operations department. And again, just to touch on the schedule, and Elena had mentioned it, what related to the Wagner and Waters intersection project. Overall, we expect Fonson to begin the work this week with the tree removals at Wagner and Waters. Again, those trees, we target those for removal before the end of March in order to be conscious of migratory bats that may be in the area. And so we want those trees felled by the end of March. Then Fonson will be back in right around June 1st to perform the culvert work that I had referenced in my part of the presentation today between Scio Church and Liberty. And then once they're done with the culvert replacements, then that's in July is when they'll commence the work at the intersection there at Wagner and Waters Road. So overall, we expect this project, setting aside the tree removals, which will be done this week, weather permitting, and that being a fairly short duration. We don't expect that to take much more than the rest of this week. The rest of the work, rest of the scope, would be between early June and mid to late September. And that would be overall for all the work that we've discussed today. So again, Elena will go ahead and she'll touch on some of the miscellaneous work to wrap up today's presentation.
Yes, thank you, Aaron. So after these major items of work will be completed, we will also be doing center line rumble strips or stripes corrugations. These are to prevent or warn drivers when they are crossing the center line. We saw that pattern. This will be installed on Wagner Road, between Ann Arbor Saline Road and Liberty Road. Also, throughout the corridor, we will be implementing recessed pavement markings that last longer. Definitely to have a pavement markings in a good condition is important for safety, especially different like weather conditions. And we also will be upgrading signs along the corridor and enhancing some of the signage along the corridor. We have some examples of the rumble strips here and recessed pavement markings. That's how they look. So both of these are also safety features and addressing the patterns we saw on this corridor. Erin, I think you will address some of these general construction details. You already did some of these. But.
Sure. Yep, and with our experience here working on construction projects, things that are of great interest and importance to the property owners and the residents along our corridors are mail delivery and trash pickup. We do communicate with the post office to make sure that they're informed of our intentions. That'll be the case this time. We will make every effort to inform the post office of the upcoming closures and where they can access the project limits to be able to continue mail delivery. Trash pickup, we communicate with the local trash haulers to make sure, again, that they understand they can enter into the closure into the work zone in order to collect refuse and recycle. Interaction as a pedestrian, and I touched on this earlier, what we found is particularly last season, and I'll theorize maybe it had to do with the pandemic and people being more at home, we had much more of a prevalence for pedestrians to want to come to the project site, to walk to the project site and stand inside the work zone to see the work going on. And again, I must caution against that. I feel fortunate that I've worked in road building and bridge building for many years. I very much enjoy my job partially because I get to see those construction operations. It's really interesting to see. But again, we need the general public pedestrians to maintain a safe distance from those activities. It's a dangerous work zone. There's large equipment, there's moving equipment, and there's heavy loads, piles of various materials. So we do need people to respect that and be mindful of being safe. In regards to yard restoration, this project doesn't have a great impact on adjacent properties, I'll say adjacent yard areas, but the project certainly does include turf establishment, the restoration of those areas through the use of topsoil, seed, fertilizer, mulch blankets, straw blankets that are put down to aid the growth of grass. So again, the areas that are disturbed by this project will be restored. And something that we keep in mind is, again, for many adjacent property owners, what's of great importance to them, and understandably so, is their driveway approaches, their mailboxes, and the way that their yards are left. And that's understandable, but I have always somewhat taken some humor in the fact that we make these large investments in the roadway. Again, the project that Elena and I have been discussing today, the Wagner Road Safety Project, is an investment with federal aid. The bid is over $1 million. And so we'll be conducting $1 million worth of safety improvements and road investments. But for many people, really what it boils down to is, where is my mailbox when you're done? What have you done to my driveway, and how does my yard look? And again, I do understand, because if it was my property or my house, that's what I would be interested in as well.
Okay, thanks guys. So we do, you can find out more information as Aaron had mentioned. We do have a project page on our website, which is at wcroads.org. There's a link to that project page on in the chat. I can share it again if you don't see it. And then we encourage you, if you have questions after this meeting, is to reach out to Elena and or to Burke. Their contact information is here. Their contact information is also posted to the project page itself if you visit us on our website. So with that, we will go into our Q&A period. I don't see any questions in chat yet, so remember that you can submit a question in chat if you'd rather do it that way. But if you would like to ask a question verbally, you could do so by raising your hand from either your computer or smartphone. Here's how you would do it. You would click the participants button at the bottom of your screen, and then the raise hand button at the bottom right of your screen. Because I'm screen sharing, it may show up if you hover your mouse at the top. Sometimes Zoom kind of move those things around. If you are joining us from your touch-tone phone, you can raise your hand by dialing *9 at this point. Or again, if you're joining us from the app or from your computer, you can ask us a question in chat. So is there anybody at this time who would like to ask a question? Looks like we do have one. So Troy, if you want to go ahead and just introduce yourself and then ask your question.
Hi, it's actually Tina Wells. I'm using someone else's computer.
No problem. Hi, Tina.
Oh, hi. Thank you for doing this. I really appreciate it. My husband and I own a seasonal business that's located on Wagner Road. This is the 4th project in 5 years on Wagner Road. This one could potentially kill our seasonal business. We own a pumpkin farm and we sell pumpkins. We're the pumpkin farm on Wagner Road. If Waters Road is closed from anytime after mid-September, you're gonna pretty much take probably 50% of our business away from us. Is there any way we can try to get that intersection open? Because, you know, we fought the roundabout on both ends of Wagner Road, and now you're closing the intersection that's closest to us. You're going to kill our business. What can we do?
Aaron, do you want to take that one? I know that the project timeline calls for us to be done well before mid-September, but go ahead, Aaron.
Yeah, and thank you, Tina, for asking the question. And something certainly we're mindful of is the impact of all these various infrastructure investments, these road projects, these bridge projects that we do every year, and the impact it can have on business owners. And certainly we do not mean or intend to cause harm to those businesses, those local business owners. This project, per our contract documents, the contractor is expected to have all work, the entirety of the project, substantially completed by mid-September. The only portion of the project that can carry over beyond mid-September would be the turf establishment, basically growing grass. That runs later so that we can come back and inspect the areas and make sure grass is actually growing. But again, under our MDOT contract documents, it stipulates that they have to be done with the work by mid-September. They can be granted extensions of time if there are unexpected delays. And generally, those unexpected delays would be related to utilities that were not previously identified by the utility owners, or some type of a complication caused by a utility and the relocation of that utility. So again, our expectation is that Fonson would be substantially complete with the work and would have the intersection open at Waters and Wagner by mid-September. But certainly we appreciate you asking the question, expressing your concern this morning, and that's something we will definitely keep in mind throughout the course of this season as we work on this project. Tina, if you have any further questions, you or your husband, if you have concerns, you're welcome to reach out to me or talk to Elena, and we'll do our best to respond to your concerns or to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thanks, Aaron. And also just a note too, we will send out periodic project updates. If you want to subscribe to receive those updates via email, you can do that right on the website. Again, I'll share a link in just a minute in the chat where you can do that. But we'll send out periodic project updates throughout the construction of each of the parts of this project, because this one does have a lot of moving parts. But that is something that you can sign up for if you're interested. And that would include things like when the closures are going to start, as we're progressing throughout the project and as we get closer to reopening. Aaron, we do have a question in chat, but before we go there, can you just speak briefly about some of the signage that'll be out there? I think we're going to do some signage for businesses saying that they are open during construction. Is that correct?
That is correct. And thank you, Emily, for the reminder on that. Our intention is when we implement the closure, both for the culverts, that's between Scio Church and Liberty Road, and for the closure of the Wagner and Waters intersection, the advanced signage, we would include some signs that indicate businesses open during construction. We try to keep that sign general in nature, because we really don't have room on most signs to list businesses individually. But again, we will be putting up signs in advance of the closure that would indicate businesses are open during construction. And then we're happy to work with business owners to put up their own signs adjacent to those to indicate in more detail which businesses are open. And we did so last year when we worked on the Ann Arbor Saline and Wagner Road intersection. We worked with Turner's Landscape. We worked with, oh gosh, I'm sorry, the farm market, it escapes my memory right now. But the local farm market there across from Turner's to aid them to indicate to approaching motorists that the road is open to their businesses. So we certainly intend to do the same with this in as much as it might be needed.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. So the question from chat, I think this will go to Aaron too, is will the Waters-Wagner intersection be closed at the same time as Zeeb Road Phase 2? Is there any way to avoid this? There's only one north-south paved road in the area. I think that, Aaron, could you address that? And that comes from Doug.
Yeah, and we have been discussing that. That's something that we realized fairly early on, that with the reconstruction of Zeeb Road between Pleasant Lake and Ellsworth, and the closure of Wagner and Waters, that we would have overlapping signage. Technically, the detours do not overlap. We would still have the ability to move traffic around the closure of Zeeb 2. So the intended closure for Zeeb 2, and we'll go into greater detail next week when we have that public meeting on Tuesday next week, is traffic would follow Pleasant Lake Road to Ann Arbor Saline Road to Wagner Road to Ellsworth Road, and then come back across on Ellsworth, and then vice versa for traffic coming southbound on Zeeb. And again, what we keep in mind when we set up a detour route is if we're detouring traffic from a paved road, we keep them on a paved road. In the case of Zeeb Road Phase 2, the existing road is an unpaved road. It's a soft surface. So that means we can use other unpaved roads for that detour. And again, that's why we're able to utilize Ellsworth Road. So we won't be sending traffic as far north as Wagner and Waters. But again, there will be some overlapping signage. Right now, we're hoping, we're still working on the design and bidding documents for Zeeb Road Phase 2, but we're hoping that would be an early summer project. Again, I'll cautiously say maybe May, June, July. So maybe those are the 3 months that we're targeting right now. So May, June, July, and then we would have Wagner and Waters starting in July. So potentially you would have a month there where there might be some overlap between the two closures, but it wouldn't be direct overlap. We're not sending traffic from a closure through an intersection closure. That being said, I certainly admit that a lot of people, when they get to that hard surface on Wagner Road, they're going to want to continue north. And through our signage, we're going to have to try to make it abundantly clear to people that they should not continue north because they're going to run into another road closure. But as I said, this is just a product of us being a seasonal construction state, and we only have so many months available to us to be able to perform the work that we have ahead of us.
Yeah, and the tricky part too is that the lack of unpaved roads is one of the things we're trying to address with paving Zeeb Road Phase 2. So it'll be a messy summer, but it's going to be a lot nicer in this area once we get everything done. So we did have a couple other questions come through chat. So one, this comes from Canopy Landscapes, and it says, will commercial trucks be able to drive on Scio Church and Waters Road during stage 1, which I believe would be the culvert part of the project, and stage 2, which would be the signal improvements of this project? So will commercial trucks be able to drive on Scio Church and Waters during those stages?
And that's something I will have to look into that further. Again, I believe that Scio Church Road is no through trucks. But again, if we're going to close the route that's available to trucks, then we need to allow them an alternate route. So again, if my memory doesn't fail me, if Scio Church Road is currently posted no through trucks by the Road Commission, then we would approach our board and request that they temporarily rescind that no through truck on Scio Church Road for the duration of the work closure for the 2 culvert replacements. But again, that'll be something I'll have to take a closer look at, and I appreciate you asking the question.
Yeah, and Canopy Landscapes, if you want to provide your email, you can just email that, or you can chat with me directly as the host. If you want to provide your email, we can follow up with you on that specific question. He or she had one other question, Aaron, on that, is how many feet from Wagner Road will the regrading extend to adjacent properties? So they're asking in reference to Lodi Farm. So I think like how much of that landscape is going to be disturbed?
And again, focusing on Lodi Farms, they're in the northwest quadrant of Wagner and Waters. We've set our project up so the widening that's going to be performed to allow for that left turn pocket does not have a significant impact on the landscaping that would be outside of the road right of way. So again, we have had to work with, and we've appreciated working with Lodi Farms there to secure some grading permits to allow that work to extend temporarily outside of the right of way so we can grade that back in. But for the most part, the work that we're performing and the disturbed area would be within the road right of way, with the only exception being those areas where we obtained a grading permit from Lodi Farms.
Okay, thanks, Aaron. So are there any other questions out there? Anybody else would like to raise their hand and ask a question? I'll go over the instructions on how to do that if you are interested. If you're joining from your computer or your smartphone, you can join it by clicking the participants button at the bottom of your screen and then the raise hand button that pops up. If you are calling in from your touch-tone phone, you could raise your hand by dialing *9. So it looks like we have another question. Larry, you should be able to unmute and go ahead with your question. Larry Swisher. Larry, you should get a little thing that pops up and says the host would like you to unmute.
That do it?
That does it. Yes. Hello, Larry. If you want to just
Good.
introduce yourself and then go ahead with your question.
Yeah, this is Larry Swisher. Yeah, I'm just not very computer savvy at all. So
No
but
problem. We're
anyway,
glad you're here.
the tree removal on the corner of Wagner and Waters Road, you said Fonson's going to be doing that, and they're going to start doing that this week. Is there a chance I can get a contact person and a phone number of who's going to be handling that?
Yes, we can provide that. Yeah, it sounds like we were planning on tomorrow. It looks like I just saw something coming in. It got pushed until Wednesday. So new start is Wednesday, but we can provide that contact information. I think you can work with them if you're interested in any you know, wood or anything.
Yeah, because there was something in the contract that I want to double check with them about, so.
Yeah, and
Larry, oh, go ahead,
Mr.
Burke.
Swisher, we'd be happy, Mr. Swisher, to provide you with a point of contact, both at Fonson and at their subcontractor is Owen Tree Service. So we have points of contact with both, and we'll be happy to follow up and provide those to you.
Okay, would appreciate that.
Sure.
Yeah. And Larry, I'm going to show this next slide that shows Aaron and Elena's contact information. If you want to just give them a call, or you can send me your contact information in chat, just so you don't have to share it with the whole group here. But that way we can follow up with you. I don't think Aaron or Elena, we have his contact information, do we?
I believe, Mr. Swisher, you've spoken with Kurt Roche, our right-of-way specialist previously. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, sure. I can get your contact information from Kurt, and we'll follow up with you.
Okay,
Okay.
perfect.
Appreciate
Okay.
it.
Sure.
Thanks, Larry.
Yep.
Okay, is there anybody else that would like to ask a question either in chat or by raising their hand virtually? Okay, at this time, I don't see any other questions in chat. I'm going to include a link to the project page one more time in our chat box here. If you are interested and want to subscribe to project updates via email, you would just go to wcroads.org and you can go right to this link I shared in chat, or you can navigate through, as Aaron mentioned, through the current projects map and then find the Wagner Road project and subscribe right to our updates. We also provide road updates by township. So if you're interested in other things going on in Lodi or Scio Township, you can subscribe to just receive those advisories. We'll put out an advisory later today about the work expected on at Wagner's and Waters for the tree removals, because there will be some lane restrictions there. But yeah, if you're interested in subscribing and getting notices when we do have road work in your area, we encourage you to sign up on our website. Aaron and Elena, anything else you'd like to add for the good of the order?
I'm all set. I appreciate everyone attending today. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining today.
Great. If there's no other questions, we will end it there. As Aaron mentioned, we have a lot of public meetings coming up. We've got a few more this week and next week. So if you're interested in learning more about ZBroad Phase 2 or ZBroad at Liberty, the roundabout, those projects are next, or those project meetings are next week. We have a project meeting tomorrow about the Dennison Road Bridge replacement in York Township, and another one on Thursday about a Geddes Road Bridge replacement in Superior Township. So if you're interested in roads, we've got a lot of interesting content for you over the next 10 days or so. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we will post the project recording to our website in a couple days.